Good morning, colleagues. My name is Carlos Alberto Torres. I'm a distinguished professor of education and UNESCO chair in global learning and global citizenship education. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to be with you today to talk about the big topics of our conference, the Ethics Code of Conduct for Cyber Peace and Security Conference. My perception is that life has become intense. The interactions have become multiple. Sometimes we feel we don't really have control of our own lives. The intensity of communications, while making us more aware of things, able to work closer to people who are miles and miles away from us, also affect some of the basic principles that academia was built on. One of them is the ability to pause, to reflect, to be able to comment upon an issue without no urgency. Another, that we have a quest for the truth, and this quest for the truth, undeniable, is now being challenged by some of the elements that we see through the question about peace and cybersecurity. Let me start with a statement from Mark Twain, one of my favorite writers. In his book, The Letters of the Earth, he said, "Our civilization is a civilization who has destroyed the simplicity and repose of life, replaced its contentment, its poetry, its soft romance dreams with visions, with the money fever, sordid ideas, vulgar ambitions, and the sleep which does not refresh." I think this indictment of Mark Twain of our current civilizations is still very much valid, and I think the intensity that this digital culture has brought to our lives have created another layer of complexity in this civilization crisis. Let me send them, without going into great detail, that I believe that this conference is very important because this is the first time at least I can participate in a discussion about cybersecurity. I must confess, it's not a topic I've been studying, it's not what I know, it's not my own research, but this is a topic that all of us, whether we are experts or not, we should be concerned. My goal will be to offer you one proposition today, and then to define the terms of this proposition, and finally, briefly ask one or two questions. The first proposition is that the question of peace and security, connected with cybernetics and the context of internet and communications, is a question that pertains to one of the most important challenges of today: how to build a global citizen and how to build global citizenship education. Those two are the great topics of my own research and many of my own colleagues and my students, and are the key behind the UNESCO chair that I have been so honored to receive, and we are beginning to implement research worldwide. Now, what is global citizenship? Let me offer you the following premise. The only way we can talk about global citizenship if we talk about global commons. This interconnection that worries us so much, given the question of peace and cybersecurity, is also predicated on the premise that we share things in common, the global commons. This is not the time to start a philosophical, political, and legal discussion on what the global commons are. But when one thinks of global citizenship as a premise that will illuminate the discussion internationally, particularly with the work of the UN and UNESCO in the next 10 to 15 years, one has to agree that these three principles need to be sustained. The first one is that our planet is our only home, that we have to protect it through a global citizenship sustainable development education. The second is predicated with the notion that to have a global common, we have to protect global peace. Global peace is an intangible cultural good of humanity with immaterial value. Global peace is a treasure of humanity. Just because of this second principle, we need to make sure that the digital culture we are enjoying and use for so many different things, from communication to love, from commerce to crime, we should be able to focus on how to protect peace as a global common. And finally, I think that having studied carefully the way in which the American Constitution was created, I have concluded that a third global common is predicated on the need to find ways that people who are all equal manage to live together democratically in an ever-growing diverse world, seeking to fulfill their individual and cultural interests and achieving their inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is exactly what life is all about. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are connecting ourselves together through this debate because to achieve cyber security and peace, we need to protect these three principles of our global commons. So let me end with one or two questions. One of my great concerns as an avid user of the internet, as somebody who publish extensively, who collect data everywhere, who connect with hundreds of people basically on weekly basis. What are the ethics of our interactions? How can I show to anybody who asks me that the information I collect from the internet is truthful? How can I define that this information was obtained through legal means? How can I be sure that the interaction we are having with people through teleconferencing or Skype and other means is not being registered, is not being collected by other people for ulterior purposes? This is a great dilemma in my mind. The internet, this extraordinary way in which communications have been improving at an extraordinary fast pace, have altered the connection between the private and the public. What was always private now could become public very quickly. And this connection of private and public, it is an important connection. There is an intimacy we have to protect, but at the same time, there's a truth that we have to predicate. What are the limits and possibility of predicating the truth and protecting the intimacy? That is a question for all of us. It's a question for our children, for our grandchildren. There's a second element that concerns me as a scholar. A scholarship is conducted on important premises, but it's conducted by people. People, all of us, you, me, everybody else, has an ego. There is a battle of egos in academia. We all know that. In this battle of egos, now the internet is a very powerful tool. This powerful tool is that through the internet, we make and we destroy reputations. Through the internet, through the digital culture, we claim things that would be very difficult to prove in a court of law. So here is my challenge to you. That's my challenge to me. That's the challenge in creating a model of truthfulness and cyber security for peace. Is there a way we can protect the integrity of people, preventing that others who don't like what they do, they don't like what they think, they don't like what they said, don't attack them, not on grounds of the truthfulness of the statements, the strength of the methodology, the quality of the data and the theory, but simply trying to undermine a position, an individual, a human being. I finish with this statement, which for me is absolutely decisive. In the last election of the US, one of the advisors of one of the candidates said, "I'm not going to let the fact checkers to run this campaign." I think this is an indication of how difficult it is to have ethics in the internet. I appreciate very much your time. I send you my warmest regards, and I hope the deliberations will be very productive. Thank you very much.